Good afternoon. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills. The Honourable Member for Fort Garry.
I moved, seconded by the member for Tyndall Park, that bill number 212, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, loi modifiant la loi sur la location et usage d'habitation, be now read a first time.
Thank you. It's been moved by the Honourable Member for Fort Garry, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tyndall Park, that bill number 212, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Member for Fort Garry.
I'm pleased to introduce the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, which strengthens protections for Manitoban renters by ensuring the above guideline rent increases are fair and justified. Thousands of renters in Manitoba have faced steep above guideline rent increases, often for cosmetic renovations they did not ask for or benefit from. Many tenants struggle to appeal these increases, facing bureaucratic hurdles, lack of transparency, and a fear of landlord retaliation. This bill closes loopholes that have allowed landlords to remove rent discounts before applying for above guideline rent increases, and ensures rent increases beyond the cap can only be approved for legitimate expenses. It also allows phased-in rent increases, easing the financial burden on tenants. I also want to recognize and thank the West Broadway Tenants Committee members in the gallery today. Their advocacy has been critical in raising awareness of how AGIs are impacting families, and I appreciate their support of this legislation.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. Committee reports. Tabling of reports. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Families.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to mark Human Trafficking Awareness Day, part of Stop Child Sexual Exploitation Week. As the Minister responsible for women and gender equity, I affirm my support for survivors and our government's commitment to stand firmly against any form of gender-based violence. Human trafficking affects all Manitobans, and we all have a role to play in addressing and preventing human trafficking. We know the effects of compounding marginalization like racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia leave some Manitobans disproportionately affected by sex trafficking. We also know victim blaming, misinformation, and harmful stigmas related to human trafficking can prevent survivors from seeking help. Citizens must educate themselves on the signs of trafficking and how to keep our relatives safe. Human traffickers can target anyone, but women and girls account for 93% of police-reported incidents in Canada, with 23% of cases involving survivors under the age of 17. Our government is committed to interventions and supports for young survivors through the work of Tracy's Trust, Manitoba's sexual exploitation prevention strategy. Established in 2002 in honor of Tracia Owen, a young Indigenous girl who died by suicide after being sexually exploited. Tracy's Trust invests $15 million annually with community organizations across Manitoba to prevent human trafficking and sexual exploitation. Tomorrow, my team from the Department of Families is connecting with community members from across Manitoba in a full-day Tracy's Trust Engagement Summit. Part of the annual Stop Child Sexual Exploitation Awareness Week conference, this gathering brings Manitobans together to discuss the needs of those experiencing sexual exploitation in our province, highlight existing supports, identify gaps and barriers, and chart a course on what is needed to revitalize the Tracy's Trust strategy. Miigwech to frontline organizations leading this sacred work with your care and your love and your dedication and your fierceness, ensuring the safety of our women, girls, youth, two-spirit, and gender-diverse relatives. This is hard work, and I lift you up for this incredibly important work. Together, we are creating pathways to healing so every Manitoban can live safe from the threat of human trafficking and sexual violence, empowered to be their authentic selves, and to live their lives to the fullest, most unapologetic and good way. Miigwech.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to recognize Human Trafficking Awareness Day. The purpose of Human Trafficking Awareness is to actively work towards preventing exploitation before it happens. Human Trafficking Awareness Day serves as an important opportunity to raise awareness of the harsh realities of human trafficking. There's a misconception that this does not happen here in Canada. The truth is, it sadly does. In fact, 96% of trafficking victims in Canada are women and girls, and 25% of known victims are under the age of 18. Human trafficking involves profiting from the exploitation of another person through force, manipulation, or coercion. The day highlights the urgent need for support services for survivors, including mental health care, legal aid, housing, and job training. It serves to humanize the issue by focusing on the recovery of victims and providing them with essential resources to rebuild their lives. Traffickers are not always strangers. Often they build relationships with their victims, gaining their trust to manipulate and exploit them. Every year, Human Trafficking Awareness Day in Canada gives us a chance to educate ourselves about this critical issue. By raising awareness, we can work together to create meaningful change in our communities. There's several ways we can help fight against human trafficking. Report suspicious activity that you might witness that could potentially be related to human trafficking. Support many organizations like that close to home here, the Joy Smith Foundation, which are dedicated to combating human trafficking and helping survivors. By raising awareness and taking action, we can stand together to protect our fellow Manitobans, ensuring that no one has to endure the horrors of human trafficking. Through compassion and unity, we can create lasting change and make our communities safer for all. Thank you.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park. Okay. Member statements. The honourable member for the Paul Kamisak.
Thank you, Mr. Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to honour a remarkable constituent in the Paul Kamisak. Peggy Wilson is a dedicated individual who has become a pillar at the community garden in Paskwiak Cree Nation. These gardens were created to address high rates of diabetes in the community, but became a place for families in OCN to find reprieve during the pandemic. At the time, 42 families signed up to spend their allotted weekly time in the garden, but more families have since begun to visit and spend time in the garden outside of these hours. This garden now holds much meaning for the community and is a provider of healthy, fresh, affordable food for the community. They supply produce for elders and for children at the local schools. They also regularly sell produce from the garden where customers pay what they can, and proceeds are all put back into operations and upkeep. Through this garden, organizers aim for the community and get involved in land-based learning, teaching others how to grow their own food and about a Paskwiak culture and traditions. In the North, it's important that we continue to strive for food sovereignty, to lead active and healthy lives, and this garden is an important step towards that. Peggy has become a fixture in this community garden and has been pivotal in maintaining and cultivating the space. She has done so much work for our constituency that I'm proud of her efforts to create a healthy an active community here in the North. Peggy, we are grateful for your dedication and to create a welcoming space for everyone. She has joined us here in the gallery today, and I ask that the House join me in thanking Peggy for her contributions to the Paqamisac and the Paskwiak Nation. Agosaf.
The honourable member for Red River North.
Honourable Speaker, I rise in the House today to honour All Nations Express, a men's pool team from Winnipeg. This past June, All Nations Express won the men's Master Division title at the VNEA 8-Ball World Championships in Las Vegas, an event attended by over 4,000 people from around the world. It is my privilege to introduce the team members joining us here today in the gallery. Brad White, a construction manager from East St. Paul, Manitoba. This married father of twin 2-year-olds has been playing pool for 28 years. Cornell Keith McLean Jr., the team captain, a 38-year-old father from Lake Martin First Nation who grew up in Winnipeg in the downtown area. A professional electrician by day, he usually finds himself in the pool halls on weekends in the winter and on the golf courses in the summertime. Johnny Baptiste, born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, raised on the Ebb and Flow First Nation, father of 4 and a proud First Nation safety officer on the Ebb and Flow First Nation. He has been playing pool for 29 years. Sean Monkman, this father of 2, is a self-employed construction foreman from Bacona, Manitoba. He has been playing pool for 29 years. And Jeff Clare is from Winnipeg. This married father of 2 has been playing pool for 30 plus years. Jeff spends his days at the bank as a mortgage specialist and in the evenings hitting bank shots on his home pool table. Honourable Speaker, their win is historic because it marks the first time in the 44-year history of VNEA Championship that the men's master team from Manitoba has won the title. Honourable Speaker, I ask my colleagues today to join me and recognize Brad, Cornell, Johnny, Sean, Jeff, for their historic win and applaud them for representing Manitoba and putting Canada on the world stage. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is my great pride to stand before you to recognize the incredible milestone Canada's National Ukrainian Festival will be celebrating on August the 25th, August 2025, their 60th anniversary. In 1965, the festival began with a founding group was given a box of letterheads and $5 in stamps to get started. The vision was showcase Ukrainian culture Canada by hosting a national 3-day festival celebration in Dauphin. For 6 decades, this festival has been a cornerstone of the Ukrainian culture and heritage, featuring vibrant traditions, music, dance, and food that's made by the Ukrainian community so vital to Canada. The event attracts thousands of visitors around the world. A recent economic impact study revealed that combining the spending of out-of-town visitors last year totaled over $2.5 million, generating more than $3.1 million in economic activity in the province of Manitoba. The festival takes place to dedication of the 300 volunteers to ensure their success every year. Held at the historical Solo Ukrainian site near Riding Mountain National Park, just 10 minutes south of Dauphin, the festival offers the beauty, the settings, and their cultural celebrations. As we all look forward to the 60th anniversary, I express my deepest gratitude to the volunteers, the organizers and supporters who made this event possible. Your efforts have strengthened the Ukrainian culture and contribute to Manitoba's tourism sector. I want to recognize the current Canadian National Ukrainian Festival President Kayla Gillis and Vice President Corey LaFontaine that's in attendance with many board members and their volunteers for their commitment. Congratulations and look forward to celebrating in Dauphin, Manitoba, August 25th with you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Ron. Great job.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
It's my great pleasure to stand here today to recognize the work being done in Agassiz to get the new hospital up and running. This facility was part of our PC team's commitment and investment in rural healthcare, with the work beginning in 2022. Construction is well underway, and the state-of-the-art facility stands as a testament to the PC commitment to delivering top-notch healthcare in rural Manitoba. With modern amenities and a dedicated team of healthcare professionals, the new 60-bed hospital promises to enhance the quality of care available to families across Manitoba. With the great addition to rural healthcare, we must also address the need of a computerized tomography at the new hospital. A CT scanner is not just a piece of equipment, it is a crucial tool, a critical tool that allows for accurate diagnosis, timely treatment of medical conditions, and saves lives. We all know that a delay in diagnosis will lead to increased morbidity and mortality. The needs for the community have changed since the facility was planned. The current hospital is experiencing increased numbers of patients at the existing ER, and the new facility will only see more. I'm hearing from constituents and medical personnel outside of the area, including specialists and radiologists, that the volume of demand originating in this area is enough to justify a CT scanner. When compared to other hospitals of similar size, it would be unusual to see a 60-bed hospital with a 14-bed emergency room not include a CT scanner. Equipping Neepawa Hospital with a scanner would be taking a significant step toward ensuring that many Manitobans could receive prompt medical attention without the added stress of travel or ambulatory services. A CT scanner would not only save time and resources, but also enhance the overall efficiency of our healthcare services and reduce wait times right across the province. It is crucial and essential for the new rural hospital to have this technology. I urge the government to incorporate this important diagnostic tool in the new Neepawa Hospital so that it can serve many Manitobans and cut back on...
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Radisson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Supporting mental health organizations isn't just a charitable activity, it's leadership in action. Haymat & Co. is a woman-run local business that is one of those leaders who get it. There's no better time than now to be reminding our global community of our shared and multifaceted humility and humanity. That's why I am thrilled to highlight the speed at which Haymat & Co. is taking the global stage. Honourable Speaker, in 2023, not too long ago, Amber Nemeth, who named the business after her two daughters, opened her first retail store at Kildonan Place Mall, which is located in the great heart of the constituency of Radisson. With the support of her loving family, their store serves as a space for local makers to sell a wide variety of goods, like soaps, accessories, apparel, stationery, snacks, and more, providing a stable shelf space for small business owners across Manitoba. Haymat & Co. has gained international recognition for its Be Kind movement, a clothing collection that promotes mental health awareness, and a portion of the proceeds go to support the Manitoba chapter of the Canadian Mental Health Association. Over the last 6 years alone, Haymat & Co. has donated over $10,000 of their proceeds to help build mental health supports across our province. And from the Emmy Awards to the Golden Globes in Los Angeles, Haymat & Co. has been bringing dollars straight from American gifting suites right back to Manitoba in support of mental health. Amber and family, I am honored to be your storefront MLA and congratulate you on your plans for a second location. The work that you're doing has inspired a movement. You've not only built a business, but you're building a legacy of mental health literacy, awareness, and empowerment. I invite my colleagues to please join me in congratulating Amber for all of her achievements with Haymat & Co. and to wish her all of the best as she continues to grow her business.
Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
So, Honourable Speaker, the Premier of Ontario is meeting with Secretary Lutnick. And our Premier said yesterday, and I quote, "That's why earlier today I was on the call with Premier Ford and Premier Smith and every other Premier across this great country." So what does our Premier do? He plans on doubling down, claiming he had to fly to BC to meet with Premier Eby, something he easily could have done by picking up the phone or going on a Zoom call. We all know his trip was about trying to save his NDP friends in British Columbia, so I ask, why doesn't he just admit it, pay back the taxpayers for the flight and expenses, and just come clean today, Honourable Speaker?
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, they really got their finger on the pulse on the other side of the chamber here. And so I'll take this opportunity to congratulate David Eby for winning the BC election last fall. Now, prior to that campaign period, I went and had the privilege of having a bilateral meeting with David Eby, in which we discussed how his province was able to expand pharmacare coverage to cover HRT. Now, the thing in our society that we're trying to address here is that many women are experiencing menopause earlier, and therefore are going to need that HRT assistance so that they can be healthier over the many years to come in their lives. And so after learning from that bilateral meeting, I came home and met with our health minister, and I'm very proud to tell that this past week we expanded pharmacare coverage in Manitoba to cover hormone replacement therapy, an important step forward for women's health in Manitoba.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
So I guess, Honourable Speaker, that conversation could not have happened via Zoom or a phone call. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Midland for bringing forward Bill 224 to help hold the Canoe government to account on financial matters, transparency and accountability to the public. In the interest of accountability and financial transparency, will the Premier tell us how many of his staff and colleagues joined him on this voyage to British Columbia, and just how much it cost taxpayers for them to all campaign to save David Eby's BC NDP government? And while he's at it, can he tell us whether the Manitoba taxpayers' contributions were counted in the BC election as well? Of course, for transparency, can he please clarify for everyone watching today, plus everyone in the gallery, Honourable Speaker?
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, it's quite a fantastic voyage, but it's not very coolio with me when these member opposites keep slippity sliding down the poles into utter oblivion. Again, I went to British Columbia to meet with Premier Eby to talk about health care and pharmacare. Now, here's the thing. The members opposite are right. I did do something other than meet with Premier Eby while I was in British Columbia. The other thing that I did is that I presented a pair of moccasins to David and his wife Kaylee to congratulate them on their then newborn baby. So I'll use this opportunity on the record to congratulate them once again. Congrats on that bundle of joy.
Right on.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We all know what the NDP were doing in British Columbia, and it was not solving health issues. Fact is, he's not fooling anyone, Honourable Speaker. The Premier took his whole team out to BC to campaign on Manitoba taxpayers' dollars, and he was so proud of this shameful behaviour, he posted it all over the internet. And I table some additional evidence of that today, Honourable Speaker. The Premier just simply needs to stop evading the questions, stop trying to distract, stop trying to get back into his rapping days and come clean and apologize and pay back the money, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, you know, while the member opposite wants to litigate the John Rustad campaign and try to have a do-over on his behalf in BC, while the member wants to throw shade at the moccasins that I paid for myself to gift to another premier and his family, what I would say is this, through you, the chair. Are you going to ask me about steel this week? Yeah. Are you going to ask me about ag tariffs from China this week? We've been here all week long, not a single question about the very serious challenges to our provincial economy from the member opposite. Well, good news for people in the ag industry, the steel industry, and everyone out there in private enterprise. Your Manitoba NDP government is standing up for you. We've got supports for you here at home, and we're pushing back against the Trump administration's unjustified tariffs, as well against those being brought forward by the PRC. We're strong on healthcare, and we're strong on the economy.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
We've had many questions in the last 6 days, Honourable Speaker, on various different topics, and the Premier gives zero answers, Honourable Speaker. Matter of fact, he intends on continuing to distract. This morning, we brought forward a common-sense resolution to give the government some direction to provide permanent tax relief to those businesses who work hard in the devastating facets of the Trump administration's tariffs, Honourable Speaker. A tax that the NDP had created, which most provinces have rejected long time ago, and that's the payroll tax. Your finance minister, Honourable Speaker, has failed to recognize the damage of the payroll tax to job creation and has offered only deferrals for Manitoba employers. So will the Premier commit to phasing out the payroll tax today?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, did you notice how he started to stammer when he talked about the American president? Again, always uncomfortable to call it like it is and to say that Manitobans need to stand up against Donald Trump. Again, you know, the members opposite are like a real-life version of those J.D. Vance memes that we're seeing everywhere. Please, Mr. Premier, you got to say please to the president. The members opposite, day after day, have the opportunity to ask about the ag industry, to ask us about steel, and yet they come in here with policy decisions they never took when they were in office. The member opposite was at the cabinet table and collected the payroll tax every single day. My question for him is, if we phase it out, will he then stand in his seat and applaud your NDP government?
Yeah, that's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, once again, we see the behaviour of this Premier, which is absolutely not becoming of a Premier, Honourable Speaker. The CFIB, the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Council have all been calling for changes to the payroll tax because they know that businesses looking to invest in Manitoba often see the payroll tax levels and they move on to look somewhere else. That's how this tax destroys jobs, Honourable Speaker. Good jobs that could be locating here in this province. The businesses see this Premier and his behaviour and the NDP's tax and spend ways, and they decide to move the jobs somewhere else, Honourable Speaker. So will the Premier commit today to phase out the job-killing payroll tax? Yes or no?
The Honourable First Minister.
We've added jobs in Manitoba, thanks to the hard work of your Manitoba NDP team. The literal member opposite, the member for Lac du Bonny, oversaw the payroll taxes application every single day during his time in government. Every single day while he was at the cabinet table. So I'm not sure what last strand of credibility he is straining today, but I will say this. I know there is a lot of insecurity about jobs on the other side of this chamber because Wally is apparently running away with the PC leadership and he's promised to fire everybody. That's right. So again, we are going to be there for Manitoba workers. We're going to be there for Manitoba industry. Hey, who knows? Maybe we'll even be there when some of them are looking for work in the very near future.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, we had successive budgets which we took small businesses, large businesses, right off the tax rolls entirely for that job-destroying payroll tax. Honourable Speaker, Manitoba businesses are facing tariffs today. Trucks are no longer moving our goods across the border. They need to know that there is more than a deferral to help them get through these tough times. They want real permanent tax relief. What they've gotten instead from this Premier and his Finance Minister is a whole lot of bluster. This NDP party has no plan. No plan for tariffs, no plan to expand our trade, diversify our markets, or even tear down barriers. All we get from this Premier is mocking platitudes while other premiers do the heavy lifting, Honourable Speaker, on this trade battle. Will this travelling Premier, for a chance, put Manitoba first and phase out the payroll tax today? Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable First Minister.
Apparently the Wally campaign reached out and the member opposite asked if they were going to keep him on, and he heard what their answer was and he said, "So you're saying there's a chance?" Pop culture references aside, we know that we're standing up for the people of Manitoba each and every single day. We're bringing back a permanent presence to advocate for your jobs and our economy in Washington, D.C., something that the PCs cut. We're reopening hospital emergency rooms and hiring back workers on the front lines, something that the members opposite cut. And when it comes to the payroll tax, well, that was something that the PCs never cut. So how dare they come in here with that hypocrisy at a time that they're trying to divide Manitobans yet again. It's an important time for all Canadians to stand together. That's what we're doing, and we thank Manitobans for stepping up to work together each and every single day.
The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods.
Despite promising in the 2023 election campaign that they were going to revamp the education funding model, this education minister failed to deliver, which has meant more status quo of a less than top 5 priority for education funding for school divisions from this Canoe government and education minister. This has resulted in a 15.5% increase in school taxes for hardworking blue-collar families in the minister's own backyard. How does she think this is acceptable at a time of looming Trump tariffs and increasing affordability challenges for Manitoba families?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Do you know what we're doing in my own backyard? We are building a brand new school for the students and families in Devonshire Park.
That's right.
It's, again, another day, and it's another lesson in hypocrisy from the PC benches. We heard it from the questions from the interim leader of the opposition, and we hear it continually from the member from Spruce Woods. For years, Honourable Speaker, they cut funding to school divisions, including the Hanover School Division, who this year, thanks to the NDP government's predictable, stable funding, have this year frozen their mill rates. And do you know what the Hanover School Division said about the PC's
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods on a supplementary question.
Well, I thank the minister for highlighting the new school at Devonshire Park, which was a PC proposal. They paused it for 1.5 years and then decided that it was actually a good idea and they were going to build it. The school would have been half built by now if they had just gotten on with it after they won the election, but they had to waste everybody's time for 1.5 years pretending like it wasn't a good idea, and then they decided to build it anyway. So thanks very much to the member for Rossmere for that credit to the former PC government and the member for Lac du Bonny, who was education minister and proposed that school in the first place. The question was about River East Transcona School Division, not Hanover. Those are 2 different places in 2 different parts of the province. Why is this minister comfortable with a 15.5% tax increase on her constituents and everybody else in the River East Transcona School Division?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
We know that thanks to the great work of our Minister of Finance, that more Manitobans than ever are going to be saving on their property taxes this year thanks to our homeowners affordability tax credit. But let's talk about River East Transcona School Division for a minute. And let's talk about what their board had to say about the time during the PCs were in government. Provincial funding in the over the last number of years has been substantially shorter than what we needed in comparison to inflation, as well as the number of new students we are receiving. That was Rod Giesbrecht being quoted in the CTV News in 2023. And let's go back to Hanover School Division and hear what their board chair had to say about the PCs and their school funding. Worst by a mile.
What? Wow.
I've been on the board for 30 years and
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Spruce Woods on a final supplementary question.
The minister is reading quotes from 2023. Here's a news flash for the NDP government. It's 2025. Taxes are going up by 15.5% in River East Transcona School Division. What is this minister going to do to stop that tax hike on hardworking blue-collar families in her constituency and every other constituency in Northeast Winnipeg?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're not going to take lessons from the member opposite. When the PCs were in power, what they did was underfund school divisions and pick fights with school boards. In fact, when the PCs were in government, if they had succeeded in Bill 64, again, I'll remind the House, maybe the most hated piece of legislation ever in Manitoba history, they would have done away with school boards altogether. On this side of the House, we are going to work with school divisions and school boards to make sure that they are meeting the needs of Manitoba families and students while also balancing affordability. Affordability that our government is delivering on, thanks again to the great work of our Minister of Finance, the Homeowners Affordability Tax Credit. We saw savings at the gas pump for a year.
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, it's clear that this NDP government is not doing their job to keep property taxes low for Manitobans. Every single day over the past few weeks, we have heard some kind of increase being proposed by school divisions across the province. Yesterday, I gave this minister an opportunity to stand up for families and to stop these tax hikes today. River East Transcona School Division 15.5% hike was the highest we've seen this year until today, because Turtle Mountain School Division is planning for a 16.55% rate hike as a result of a broken funding model. I table that for the minister. I give the minister another chance. Will they stand up for families and stop these tax hikes today? Yes or no?
That's an increase.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, for many years our education system had cuts under the members opposite. Year over year over year, they underfunded education and impacted our kids. And what have we done? We're funding at the rate of inflation, and this year, 3.4% lift. We are taking care of kids in this province. When it comes to affordability, Honourable Speaker, we were proud last year to bring in our $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit that will lower the cost of school taxes across the entire province. We're doing the work every single day on focusing on the needs of families, and we will continue to make life more affordable.
Good job.
The honourable member for Midland on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, the list of property tax hikes is growing every single day. 15.5% River East Transcona, 11% Seine River. I tabled for the member for Southdale a 7.5% hike to property taxes in their constituency. If the minister won't stand up for families, the member for Seine River won't stand up for families, the member for Brandon East won't stand up for families, will the member for Southdale stand up for families in their constituency and stop these tax hikes today?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, the only list that's growing is a list of things we're doing to make life more affordable. You know, in our last budget, we had this beautiful list, 21 ways to save, extending the gas tax holiday, the $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit, broad middle-class tax cuts, doubling the fertility treatment tax credit, increasing the renters tax credit after they hiked taxes on renters. And of course, in addition to this list of 21 ways to save, what else do? We brought in a hydro rate freeze for 2025.
The honourable member for Midland on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Honourable Speaker, in what world does this minister live in where a 15.5% tax hike increase is affordable? Not the minister is standing up for families, not the member for St. River, not the member for Brandon East, and not the member for Stilltail. Nobody from these government benches are taking accountability for their poor financial decisions. So will the Premier, since his members aren't standing up for families, will the Premier stand up today and stop these tax hikes on hard-working families?
No, he won't.
Yes or no?
No, he won't.
The Honourable Minister of Family. Honourable Minister of
We're going to continue
Finance.
doing the important work of making life more affordable. Again, our $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit is lowering school taxes for the vast majority of Manitobans. More work to do, and we're very excited to bring forward more of our work to make life more affordable in Budget 2025. But, you know, we got to remind the members opposite of their record when they were in government. What did they do? Again, they applied the fuel tax every single day they were in government, gladly. They continue to pound Manitoban businesses with the payroll tax. They increased costs for renters. They jacked up hydro rates. That's their record, Honourable Speaker. On this side of the House, every single member of this team is committed to making life more affordable. We know that's important. More work to do, and can't wait to release our budget on March 20th.
Awesome.
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Debbie Fuster was a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 10. She had just retired and was excited to spend more time with her family. But tragically, she was failed by the NDP's healthcare system. Debbie passed away while waiting for a life-saving surgery last fall. I know the minister hasn't reached out to the family, but I spoke with them this morning. They have a straightforward proposal, Debbie's Law, a law that would require the government to inform patients when life-saving care cannot be provided in a timely manner. It would also require the government to discuss out-of-province care options when wait times here are too long. This is about accountability, putting patients first, and common sense. The PC side of the House is ready to fully support this legislation. Will the NDP, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I want to express on behalf of our government our deepest condolences to Debbie Fuster's family, who have been grieving this very tragic loss. This is a situation that we never want to see happen, and I know that the WRHA leadership, health leadership, is actively meeting with the family to have those conversations, to provide any support and information that the family needs. We take all aspects of healthcare very seriously, but certainly the area of cardiac sciences and women's heart health. Our government is committed to doing the work necessary to ensure that our services are there for Manitobans when they need it. And I look forward to sitting down and having conversations with the family as well, if they'd like to do so. Thank you. Good job, Minister.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
I would ask the minister if they've considered that Debbie Fuster could still be alive today if their government hadn't callously cut out-of-province care options for patients when wait times here were too long.
Shame.
When asked if he'd adopt Debbie's Law on CBC this morning, the Premier refused to say yes. Instead, he took credit for a waitlist system that was created by a task force he has smeared on dozens of occasions and fired the first chance he got. And despite taking credit, he didn't even know that this system doesn't track cardiac surgeries. He didn't know if deaths on waitlists are tracked in Manitoba. So let me enlighten him. No, Manitoba does not publicly report how many patients die waiting for surgery. How is it possible that this Premier, who campaigned solely on healthcare, knows so little about healthcare in Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Shame on that member. Shame on the member opposite for referencing a task force that didn't actually even provide cardiac care out of country. Shame on that member for not acknowledging the fact that Manitoba used to be a cardiac center of excellence. But back in 2017, the cardiac sciences program at St. Boniface Hospital was systemically dismantled by the PCs. It was the envy not only nationally, but internationally. That member's side of the House is responsible for the erosion of a program that was the envy of the rest of the country. On this side of the House, we're doing the work to restore it.
100%. The Honourable Member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
We know where the NDP stands depends ideologically on even the idea of out-of-province care. That's right. But the fact is, before the NDP, if waits in Manitoba were too long, you had options. You could be sent out of province for faster care, whether it was a knee replacement, a hip surgery, or even a life-saving cardiac procedure, all paid for by the provincial government. Ask a patient who received a surgery as a part of this program if they think that money was well spent. I have many times, and they will tell you it saved their lives. Under the NDP, that option is gone, and now we're seeing the real-life consequences play out in hospitals across Manitoba. The NDP are playing with patients' lives. Will they do the right thing and reinstate out-of-province care options for patients when wait times here are too long? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I'm going to put some facts on the record because it seems that the member opposite really struggles to do so. In Manitoba, we had a cardiac sciences program that was the envy of the rest of the country and was known internationally to provide innovative care across our province and for those outside of Manitoba. In 2017, members opposite, that member did the work of dismantling that program. Pulling it apart piece by piece, even though the specialists in that program begged for them to not do so. Our government is doing the work of restoring that program, working directly with doctors like Dr. Soni, who is an expert in cardiac care for women in this province and across the country. On that side of the House, what they should do is stand up and apologize for the damage.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
This minister claims she's stepping up with real money, yet if this government cared about children, they would step up with real action. The increase the minister keeps referring to has not prevented the devastating cut to pivotal programs, vital programs and services for our most vulnerable youth. Instead, she is firing their one-to-one support workers and social workers, leaving children, their families and their communities at greater risk. So I ask again today, what concrete actions is this minister going to take to protect our most vulnerable and ensure their safety and well-being?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Which, Honourable Speaker, and I'm pleased to get up for a fourth day in a row to put on the record, to put on the official record, that since we took government and since I was appointed Minister of Families, we have put in a 6% increase in annualized payments, in annualized dollars across the CFS system. That's $33 million, alongside $11.3 million to the CFS system in respect of operations and wages. We honor those that are on the front lines. We know that folks do very, very good work and care about Manitoba children, and again, the most vulnerable.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz on a supplementary question.
Social workers within CFS have voiced their concerns, described this minister's response as a failure in this critical area. The narrative that this increase to annualized funding is the solution is actually ignoring the reality. The agencies do not have the sufficient funding to operate programs and services. Children are left without their support workers, while this minister looks the other way and fires staff. Given that relationship-based connection has been critical in the successes of these youth and children, what support has the minister provided to the youth and families directly impacted by these cuts?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
I remind the member opposite, as I've said all week here, that we've added $898,000 to Southeast CFS and $2.4 million to Métis and Michif agencies to ensure that their wages, they've got dollars for their wages. The other piece that we've done, and they're so very quiet on this, and they're so very quiet on this because they did nothing in their 7.5 years of a failed, cold, callous, uncaring government. We raised the basic maintenance rates to foster parents by 10%, something that folks opposite never did. So I know the member gets up day after day trying to feign that she actually cares about Manitoba children.
Time has expired. The honourable member for Agassiz on a final supplementary question.
I get up day after day because I care about these kids that are going to be affected. These layoff notices were responsible for essential programs that supported these children again and again, and their families, and they've helped keep these children safe, provided trauma-enforced care, promoted family preservation and reunification, and cultural education. Children and youth depended on these services. Can the minister share what efforts she has taken in the last 7 days to minimize the impact of these cuts on the children and youth within the Métis CFS system?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
I know the member opposite, once again, is trying to get up in the chamber and act as if she actually cares about Manitoba children. No member opposite can get up with a clear conscience in this chamber and say that they actually care about Manitoba children when they still have yet to get up and apologize to trans children. Trans children that were targeted and bullied by every single one of them under the leadership of the member for Fort White, who again is second in this leadership race. Not one of them have gotten up. These are the same members that legislated the rights of Indigenous children away. It is not true what they're trying to put on the record. They do not care about Manitoba children. They never have. I would encourage them to get up and apologize.
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The day-to-day of retail business is becoming more challenging. Large retailers, small shops, chains, and convenience stores in every neighborhood are affected, and many are being forced to close. Businesses are seeing more break-ins, assaults on employees, theft, and not only does this affect their bottom line, but it affects the safety of the staff and customers. Can this government share with the House which specific businesses they have consulted with in the hopes of being able to better support?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, thank you very much for the question, Honourable Speaker, from the member for Tyndall Park. It is an important one, and it's one that our government has been focused on over the last year and a half. That's why we called together leaders from business from across the province at our retail summit to ask them how can we support them when it comes to public safety, when it comes to safety for their workers and for employees across this province. And what we heard was that there was a lot of good work that had been done with our security rebate. They saw the value in the retail crime initiative that was undertaken, and they wanted to see that made permanent. That's why our government stepped up, 12 new officers in the fall, 12 more coming in the spring. We're working with businesses. We want to make our community safer, and we want to do it in partnership with retailers.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, crime is not only affecting retailers, but many commuters on transit buses are also being forced to witness and experience intoxication, violent behavior, and even exposure to dangerous weapons. Unfortunately, we are at a point where we need safety officers on some bus routes due to the frequency of crime. In a recent incident, bystanders intervened and restrained the suspect until police arrived, putting themselves at risk. What is this government doing to increase safety on buses?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Again, I thank the member for Tyndall Park for the important question. When it comes to public safety, specifically in our downtown, I already mentioned our retail crime initiative, but of course we're taking that a step further. We're working with the DCSP, the Downtown Community Safety Partnership. They have patrols across the downtown, and we added additional funds and supports for work that they're doing. We're also in talks to add mental health workers to make sure that their work is done in a holistic way. When it comes to those transit safety officers, part of our Community Safety Officer program, we enhanced the tools that they have in their toolkit. We're willing to support the city in their endeavors to make our transit safer and all of downtown, our entire city safer. It comes down to community policing, and that's why we support law enforcement and the work that they do.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In 2024, there were 99 homicides in Manitoba. This is not only Manitoba's highest homicide recorded in history, but it is also the highest in the Canadian provinces. Rural Manitoba alone doubled their average number of homicides last year. Now, this government campaigned to be tough on crime, to enforce real consequences, to better support police. They even committed that downtown would become safer and that there would be a reduction in youth crime. Yet none of this has happened. Honorable Speaker, can the Minister of Justice tell us when we can expect to see some results?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, I'll remind the member for Tyndall Park that the statistics that she's quoting are in fact a reflection of the time when the PCs were in government. And of course, we know that crime did skyrocket under the previous government. But really, you know, it's no wonder, Honourable Speaker, because under the previous government, we saw a freeze in municipal funding for police, and that impacted communities across the province. But here in the city of Winnipeg, 55 officers less on our streets during the time that the members opposite were in power. Now, since taking office, we've added 12 new officers, 12 more coming just in the next few weeks, and 12 more again in the fall. It's about working with law enforcement. It's about funding law enforcement and all the supports that they have. Honourable Speaker, we are getting tough on crime and its causes.
Member's time has expired. Could we stop the clock for a minute, please? There are some guests in the gallery that are going to be leaving before we're done here, so I want to take an opportunity to welcome to the public gallery from Concord Christian Academy 15 students under the direction of Ryan Kleinsasser. The group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Lakeside. We welcome you here today. The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Honourable Speaker, years of cuts and chronic underfunding by the PCs have led to serious staffing shortages in our healthcare system. Millions of dollars were spent on failed recruitment trips, all while they were firing nurses and treating healthcare workers with disrespect. Meanwhile, many capable healthcare workers living in Manitoba were never invited to join the front lines. But Honourable Speaker, that's about to change. Our government is making it easier for internationally educated nurses to work in our healthcare system. Can the Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care tell the House more about the opportunities for these nurses and how our government is clearing a pathway for them?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
I want to thank my friend from Tuxedo for that excellent question. And I want to thank my colleagues, the Minister of Labour and Immigration, Minister of Advanced Education, the Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation for the collaborative effort that they've played in making this happen. Our government values the expertise of internationally educated healthcare system, nurses rather, in our healthcare system. And that's why we're helping to bring more folks get access to our healthcare system through an expedited, innovative training program. I'm really happy to say that the first cohort of IENs have already completed the program and more are on the way. If you live in Manitoba, if you've made Manitoba your home and you have the skills to join the front lines, our government is going to make sure you have a pathway to practice, and we welcome you to our healthcare team here in Manitoba.
Right on.
The Honourable Member for Portage-La Prairie.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. And just so everybody's aware, this is the third time I've been up asking an agriculture question. That's right. And I wasn't going to ask a question today, but I had to. Honourable Speaker, the Ag Minister yesterday had no answer, even from his own colleague, of what action this government has taken on the letter received from CAP, dated February 25. In fact, let me table it, as the minister seems to be unaware. What specific actions can you tell the canola growers you're doing to help them right now, as they're losing confidence and huge money every day with this government's inaction?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. And it was great to have the CAP organization sit in my office yesterday after they sat in the gallery and we moved forward. I'm gathering, Honourable Speaker, I'm not gathering the critic is assuming that the Keystone agriculture producers have an issue with our government dealing with agriculture issues. Well, I want to assure you, we're very glad to see the chair or the president of the CAP organization be appointed to be on the Premier's U.S. mission trade to work. So we're talking about communication, we're talking about cooperation, and we're talking about Team Canada, not on Team Manitoba. That's what I think.
Expired. The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie on a supplementary question.
One of the actionable items from CAP is to provide industry with accurate and up-to-date data on immediate and long-term effects of tariffs. Now, how often are you providing this valuable data? Will you share this information with the House and all Manitobans? What are you doing to support producers with this data?
The Honourable, just before I recognize the Honourable First Minister, I will remind the member from Portage-La Prairie to direct his comments through the chair. The Honourable First Minister.
I just want to thank Jill Verwey and CAP personally on the record for all the amazing work that they're doing to help with the U.S. Trade Council and a coordinated joint response to this trade war that we're fighting on two fronts. And thanks also to the amazing Ag Minister that we have in this province of Manitoba. Now, one thing that I also want to say before we break for the week is to just return to quoting Shelley Glover once again. She returned to the media and said, quote, "I do not believe that the PC party can recover. It certainly doesn't represent the conservative principles, values, and ethics that I hold dear," end quote. And then their former colleague, Kevin Klein, said, and I quote, "Shelley Glover's comments were excellent, and she was absolutely correct," end quote. So I just want to say, I don't know how many times I'll be able to say this, but on this one instance, I agree with Shelley Glover and Kevin Klein.
The time for oral questions has expired. Order. Order. Petitions. The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographic area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the new CT scanner will reduce wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays to access the care they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services, who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in the community, reducing the wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition is signed by Norma Ranke, Stan Ranke, Janice Bailey, Brian Bailey, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Brandon West.
Well, thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction of the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, Provincial Trunk Highway 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographical area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body.
Is that like an MRI?
They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care that they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnoses to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by many, many fine Manitobans.
Great job.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventive Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from an added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number two, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PDH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographical area. Number three, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnostic and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases. And the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number four, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on a wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number five, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care that they need. Number six, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services, who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities, and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number seven, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnoses to take place in a community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This has been signed by Vanessa Finnemore, Gordon Dubas, and Lillian Warburton, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. The background to this petition is as follows. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. The new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographic area. CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed, three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. The average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the waitlist to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. The new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. The new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services, who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. A CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. And this petition is signed by Darlene Miscavige, Paul Wellman, Marg Lorax, and many, many other Manitobans.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. And the background to this petition is as follows. Number one, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number two, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographic area. Number three, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases. And the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number four, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number five, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. Number six, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number seven, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnoses to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. Honourable Speaker, this petition is signed by Darcy Fisher, AEA Lee, Don Smith Harris, and many, many, many more Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Morden Winkler.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Thanks to the investment made under the previous provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from adding diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTHC 16. It will be nearly doubled in the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographic area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks. And there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic procedures. The new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the childcare they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services, who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Healthcare Center will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in the community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Glenn Wright, Bernice Baker, and Brian H. Bailey, and many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. What is it? 1. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. 2. The new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographic area. 3. CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. 4. The average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. 5. The new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. 6. The new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Karen Kilgore, Charles Morden, Lynn Johnston, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Lakeside.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, a new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographic area. 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases. And the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. 5, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Kristen Tibbett, Doreen McLeod, Gladys Anderson, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographic area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed, three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with a sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Centre will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by many, many Manitobans.
Before we continue, I'll just remind all members reading out petitions that you are able to read up to the first 3 names on the petition. The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographic area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases. The new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks. And there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. Number 6, The new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Center will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Center in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Sylvia Feist, Candace Dilling, Diane Evans, and many more Manitobans.
The honourable member for Red River North.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the House. The background of this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of a clinical and preventative services plan, construction of the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from adding diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. Number 2, the new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowstone Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographical area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment to combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases. And the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks. And there are over 14,000 patients on a wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the CT scanner will reduce these wait times as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays to access the care they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services who would no longer have to transport their patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, the CT scanner in the Neepawa Health Center will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This petition is signed by Sherry Squires, Francis McCarty, Sarah Nathu, and many, many more. Thank you.
The honourable member for Swan River.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Neepawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. The new hospital is being built east of Neepawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader Western Manitoba geographic area. Number 3, CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and disease. And the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. Number 4, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. Number 5, the new CT scanner will reduce these wait times, as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays to access the care they need. Number 6, the new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services, who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. Number 7, a CT scanner in the Nipawa Health Center will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in the community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of traveling to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Nipawa Health Center in Nipawa, Manitoba. And this petition is signed by Lori Jean Lewandowski, Holly Leanne Pankratz, Marilyn Soriano, and many, many other Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Nipawa Health Centre is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of a CT scanner. 2. The new hospital is being built east of Nipawa on the north side of the Yellowhead Highway, PTH 16. It will be nearly double the size of the existing hospital and will better serve patients from this broader western Manitoba geographic area. 3. CT scanners are standard equipment that combine X-ray images from several angles to create detailed three-dimensional models of structures inside the body. They perform critical diagnostic procedures that support the diagnosis and treatment of a wide range of injuries and diseases, and the new equipment will be able to complete these important scans faster and with sharper and clearer images. 4. The average wait times for Manitobans to receive a CT scan is currently 7 weeks, and there are over 14,000 patients on the wait list to receive the diagnostic imaging procedure. 5. The new CT scanner will reduce these wait times, as it would decrease the need for patients to travel long distances, sometimes involving overnight stays, to access the care they need. 6. The new scanner will reduce pressure on emergency response services, who would no longer have to transport these patients, opening up appointments in other communities and allowing more people to get the care they need sooner. 7. A CT scanner in the Nipawa Health Center will enable further treatment and diagnosis to take place in community, reducing wait times for patients in surrounding areas and reducing the burden of travel to other facilities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of a CT scanner machine in the Neepawa Health Centre in Neepawa, Manitoba. This is signed by Hector Swanson, Linda King, Darren Smith, and hundreds of more Manitobans. Thank you.
Seeing no further petitions, grievances, orders of the day, government business, the Honourable Government House Leader.
Which, Deputy Honourable Speaker, could you please call second reading of Bill 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act? And should that pass second reading, can you please call second reading of Bill 5, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act, impaired driving measures?
It has been announced that we will move to second reading of Bill 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act, and if that bill passes, we will move on to Bill 5, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act, impaired driving measures. The Honourable Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the member for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act, be now read a second time and be referred to a committee of this House. Her Honour, the Administrator, has been advised of this bill, and I table the message.
It has been moved by the Honourable Minister of Justice, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tyndall Park, that Bill number 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act, la loi modifiant la loi sur la Cour provinciale, be now read a second time and be referred to a committee of this House. Her Honour, the Administrator, has been advised of the bill, and I table the message has been tabled. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to rise in the House today for second reading of Bill 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act, also known as Kira's Law. Bill 2 responds directly to calls from survivors of gender-based violence, many of whom showed incredible courage and resilience when they came and shared their stories with us here in committee last session. I want to take some time to acknowledge and thank them for their contributions. I want to thank them for their years of work and advocacy on this issue, and I want to thank them for continuing to help us shape this bill and continue to work together on improving this legislation as we move forward. In particular, I do want to acknowledge Dr. Jennifer Kagan-Viatter, the mother of Kira Kagan, who I met with and I heard directly from about the importance of these changes and how introducing Kira's Law in Manitoba will help prevent these horrible acts of domestic violence and coercive control. Dr. Kagan-Viatter is a remarkable person who's made an incredible difference, not only across the country, but now here in the province of Manitoba. Her tireless efforts have already led to changes made federally in Ontario, and as we hope very soon here in Manitoba as well. I'd also be remiss if I didn't acknowledge two members of this legislature who were instrumental in getting us to this point. Of course, our Minister of Families and the MLA for Tyndall Park. Minister of Families, for folks who've been in this chamber for a while, will know very well, has been an advocate and a champion of this legislation, and in fact brought forward similar legislation while we were in opposition, and spoke to the need for judicial training, and of course that helped bring the issue first to our province and to the legislature, allowed us to debate and consider that, of course, without any success and any support from the members opposite. Following that important work, the member for Tyndall Park also introduced her own private member's bill, which now we can proudly say we've looked at, we've built upon, and we've added additional topic areas and a funding provision which makes the bill stronger and more effective. So I want to thank her for the collaboration and dedication that she's shown to this issue. The bill that we have before us, Honourable Speaker, will make amendments to the Provincial Court Act regarding the continuing education for provincial judges and for judicial justices of the peace. At present, to be eligible for appointment as a provincial judge, an individual must undertake to participate in continuing education on sexual assault law and social context, which includes systematic racism and systematic discrimination. The current legislation, however, does not address continuing education for judicial justices of the peace who perform a number of the responsibilities under the Act. With the proposed amendments, candidates seeking appointment as a provincial judge or as a provincial judicial justice of the peace will be required to undertake to participate in continuing education on sexual assault law and social context, including systematic racism and systematic discrimination. However, in addition to training, training will be required on these three new topics: intimate partner violence and coercive control in intimate partner and family relationships, and now, as well, the experience of Indigenous persons and the 2S LGBTQIA+ community in the justice system and in our society more generally. The proposed amendments build upon and expand the existing continuing education undertaking for prospective provincial court judges. The amendments are intended to increase public confidence in the criminal justice system by ensuring that those in decision-making positions have awareness not only about sexual assault law and social context, but also the important issues of intimate partner violence, coercive control in intimate partner and family relationships, and the experiences of Indigenous and 2S LGBTQIA+ persons in the justice system. The Chief Judge will continue to have the authority to establish continuing education seminars for judges, and this will now also include additional authority to establish training for judicial justices of the peace. Should the Chief Judge establish seminars on the topics that have been noted, the amendments directed that the seminars should be established after appropriate consultation. The Chief Judge will continue to be required to report annually on any seminars held regarding these specified topics. I want to acknowledge the work of the members of the judiciary, including, of course, the Chief Judge Rolston, for their commitment to judicial education and its continued improvement and enhancement. They have been absolutely wonderful partners, and I know that they will continue to be as we implement these additional resources and additional requirements for the judiciary. We know that they are always committed to ensuring that education is robust, and we feel that these will be additional resources and abilities for them to meet those goals. We move to introduce this legislation as a government bill because we also wanted to ensure that funding was provided for continuing education seminars and other sessions, and to ensure that the funding that is provided does not lapse. This change will ensure that core education funding for these sessions can continue uninterrupted, and that it ensures that this important education can continue regardless of which fiscal year it takes place. We know that in the past funds have lapsed. We know that this will effectively increase the amount of resources available to judges for this training, and so we're happy to make this change to support the important work that they've already undertaken. I also, though, wanted to take just a moment, Honourable Speaker, to directly address members opposite when it comes to this legislation. I want to point out, Honourable Speaker, that my critic, the member for Brandon West, referred to passing of the MLA for Tyndall Park's bill as his, quote, priority in the last session. But when we went ahead and brought forward this bill, which was of course seconded and supported by the member for Tyndall Park, and which in fact enhances the work undertaken with regards to education, it was the members opposite who stood up and delayed and refused to expedite its passage in this legislature. This was after we heard from families. This was after survivors came to the legislature to present their heartbreaking stories and their own personal testimonies as part of our public hearings. They heard the words of those survivors that we needed to move quickly as a legislature to pass this legislation, and yet members opposite stalled and refused to pass this legislation last fall when they had that opportunity. So you have to ask yourself, Honourable Speaker, what changed? What changed from this being a priority of the member for Brandon West to being something that he refused to even pass when asked by survivors? Well, I can tell you, we strengthened this bill in many ways, but a couple of them are important, we know, in community, and we know that it was important to address the experiences of Indigenous people and the experiences of the LGBTQIA community in this bill. And so I ask, Honourable Speaker, was it those additions? Was it the additions of that consideration of additional communities that gave members opposite pause? Is that the reason why a bill that otherwise is the same, is strengthened, adds more training, adds more resources, but simply addresses other issues that are fundamental to who we are as Manitobans? Is that the reason that they had a change of heart in the last session? I hope that's not the case. I'm often criticized for giving the opposition too much credit, but I hope they can right that wrong here today by ensuring a quick passage of this bill. And I implore them to remember the words that we heard from survivors, to put politics aside, and to take this chance. Like the advocates who have championed this legislation, we will continue to push for change. Our public safety strategy outlines numerous actions across our government that will take further support of survivors of gender-based violence, of coercive control, and to ensure that we are advancing reconciliation within the justice system. I'm committed to working across government with all my colleagues, including the Minister of Families, who's been such a strong champion on this, to accomplish this, and I thank her for her work. I look forward to passing this legislation here today with support from all members, and let's ensure that Manitoba's criminal justice system is better able to address the diverse experiences of folks in our communities and to strengthen the important trust that we have in our justice system. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
A question period of up to 15 minutes will be held. Questions may be addressed to the Minister by any opposition or independent member in the following sequence. First question by the official opposition critic or designate, subsequent questions asked by critics or designates from other recognized opposition parties, subsequent questions asked by each independent member, remaining questions asked by any opposition members, and no question or answer shall exceed 45 seconds. The honourable member for Brandon West.
Hear, hear.
Well, thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And after that long, erroneous diatribe by this Minister of Justice, I am left with a question. The question is, why did his government not bring this bill to third reading during our last session so that it could have been voted on, made a priority, and put forward so that this law could be in place today rather than being in here and debating it once again?
Hear, hear. Good question.
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Honourable Speaker, the members opposite delayed. They filibustered. They refused to move this forward when they had the opportunity last fall. I'm surprised the member opposite is taking this track, but I hope this means that he's willing to move forward very quickly right now. We're happy to move this forward past second reading today.
The honourable member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Knowing how crucial it is for the training of judicial and judges and people in power that make decisions in the situations where children need extra care, can the member explain what kind of content he will be including in the training for judges and other professionals?
The Honourable Minister of Justice. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Members opposite will know that the independence of the judiciary is paramount in our system. We do not direct judges. We do not tell them how or what to do in terms of the training that they undertake. They are already undertaking a lot of this training. What we simply are doing with this legislation is providing context about some of the priorities that we know are important in community and ensuring that we're working together with them to make sure they have the resources to provide that training to their members.
Great job.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I'm just wondering if the Minister can share with us or elaborate a little bit more. Has there been consideration to expand the training to include other employees or staff within the court systems?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
It's a good question, and I appreciate the member for asking it. We do have within the Department of Justice, through our courts division, numerous training programs that already apply to various staff and members of the courts. It is an important topic, and it is one that we continue to ensure that they have the tools needed and they have the training necessary to be a part and to be responsive to the needs in community. That's ongoing training, and we're always looking for opportunities to enhance and build on that.
The Honourable Member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And I know my colleague, the member from Tyndall Park, spent hours and hours and hours of consultation on this. It was brought to committee, and we listened to survivors who had said to us, pass this bill. The survivors asked us to do that. They said, put politics aside and pass this law. Why did the Minister of Justice fail to bring this forward last session so that we could be working within this law today?
Here. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
I appreciate that in opposition, members can talk out at both sides of their mouth on a regular basis and not get called out on it. But it was this member specifically that denied leave day after day after day when the House Leader asked for this to pass in the last session. Then if he just wants to note the number of this bill, this is bill number 2. In other words, this is the first bill that was then brought in the new session here for passage. Why is he continuing to make, to not be truthful, to be... I understand there's certain words we can't use, Honourable Speaker, but I think this member opposite has a lot to answer for.
I'd ask that you withdraw that comment and apologize. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
I apologize. I withdraw the comment.
The Honourable Member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. My question would be for the member opposite, and I was at the committee meeting where everybody came to speak and the women came to speak, and it was admirable and so brave of many of them to share their stories. We also heard from the judicial side of it as well, and they did say that they decided who gets what training they take and what they get to decide to take as education. So my question would be, how is this going to change anything? How is this going to make them take the training? Because this training is crucial. Women they don't understand. They don't see the signs of abuse. They don't see the signs of the children getting abused. How is this going to change anything?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, again, we know that this will make a difference. This continues to spark the conversation and further the conversation when it comes to the kind of training that our judges are getting. As I said, we're specifically in this bill ensuring that the money that's provided isn't lapsed, and of course we're providing more money to support our training. The other element that I'll just note for members opposite is that JJPs are now included in this legislation. They do a lot of this work in practice in our court system, and so by giving them these additional tools for training, we know that this is going to make a difference for survivors.
Good job.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I would like to ask the members opposite. We know the time and the investment that the member from Tyndall Park put into her initial Bill 209, Kira's Law. And I'm just wondering, I know she met with lots of stakeholders and victims as well. I'm just wondering if the minister could share with us here in the House who he consulted in his bill.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, again, I do want to give a lot of kudos to the member for Tyndall Park, who has done incredible work to continue to push this issue forward, and why it was so important for us to listen to the consultations and the work that she had done, and then build on that. And so I'm proud to be able to bring Bill 2 here. Of course, as I mentioned, I spoke with Dr. Jennifer Kagan-Viator, who, single-handedly, I would suggest, she might disagree, but I would say her drive, her knowledge, and her passion for this has not only made changes at the federal level, but provincially in many jurisdictions, and now here in Manitoba.
The honourable member for Brandon West.
Well, thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And speaking of talking out both sides of your mouth, I actually witnessed some of that backdoor talk here in this chamber when not only the Justice Minister, but the Premier sat back behind me and talked with the member from Tyndall Park and said, you must remove this so that we can advance our agenda on this. We could have voted on this, and this could be sitting before us right now as law, but you, the Minister of Justice, decided to block that opportunity. So will he maybe move the motion to bring back the law that was introduced by the member from Tyndall Park?
The member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, again, Honourable Speaker, we do work across the aisle, and of course we do work with, in this case, the member for Tyndall Park, who did great work, but saw the value in bringing this forward as a government bill, because now we can add the funding, we can add the supports, and we can broaden out the intent of the bill. But again, I think it's important to maybe just really focus in on why does the member opposite now all of a sudden have an issue with this bill and not the other bill? What did we add? Well, of course, we added provisions around support for Indigenous communities and for the LGBTQIA community. And so why all of a sudden does he have a problem with this bill and not the other ones if those are the two elements that we added?
The Honourable Member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. So the member opposite mentioned that there'll be special dollars earmarked specifically for the training for Kira's Law, now for Bill 2. How will he be following those dollars? How will he know those dollars are actually being spent for the training for the judges, specifically for intimate partner violence and for this cause specifically? And will he be monitoring? Will he be following that? How does he plan to ensure that all of those making the decisions in our children's safety are going to be put first before reunification and custody, that we start changing the way things have been and making it more safe for children?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
No, it's an important question, an important topic, but just to clarify, again, we as government don't direct how those dollars are spent. That is the decision of the judiciary. We trust in their, of course, expert work in ensuring that the education fund is spent and spent in the priorities of the judiciary. What I will say is that by allowing the money to not lapse, which is the fundamental change that is happening with this bill, we know that that fund can grow and it can be better used by our judiciary. And so we're very proud to be able to bring that monetary backing. That's, of course, only something that can be done through a government bill rather than a private member's bill, which again is one of the main reasons why we thought it was important to bring this forward in this way and to get this passed as quickly as possible.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, for that title. I would like to just ask the member opposite, with such sensitive issues and topics involved in Bill 2, I'm just wondering, there's very important components to training, perhaps, and discussing some of these very sensitive issues. I'm just wondering if if the member can share what content would be covered in some of the required training.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, again, that's very much at the discretion of our judges. What I will say is that there is, of course, public reporting on the work that judges do, and so certainly something that I, happy to work along with the member as we, continue to see this utilized and this training roll out for judges across the province. But this just gives additional tools, additional resources, and that's why it's important not only move quickly, as we said, to support survivors, but to do it in collaboration and conjunction with the important work that our judiciary is already doing when it comes to training.
The honourable member for Brandon West.
Well, thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And, I just thought I would let the Minister of Justice know, which I'm sure he's well aware, is I've spent literally thousands of hours with victims of domestic violence, listening to their stories and navigating the system. So I strongly support anything that we can do to help this. But what troubles me is some of the questions and rhetoric that this minister is putting on the record here when he spent those same thousands of hours as a political junkie understanding how processes work. So why would he not have just brought these amendments forward? Why would he not just brought these amendments forward and asked for a change in the legislation?
The member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, I don't know if I'd call myself a political junkie, but I do know the difference between a government bill and a private member's bill. And what government bills do is that they can allow for additional funding to be allocated for an important topic, and that's what we've done in this bill. So the member opposite hopefully is learning as he's going along here. What I would ask him is if he could go back to those thousands of hours that he spent and those victims that he's dealt with in his life, and could he answer for why he filibustered, why he blocked, why he refused leave when we asked for this bill to pass quickly in this legislature? Can he answer to them? What would he say to them of why he wouldn't move forward on a bill that strengthens and enhances support for survivors in our system?
Great question.
The Honourable Member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I just would like to ask the member opposite if he's consulted with the judicial body that was at the committee meeting, and how he has just how will he bring about a different rhetoric than that's what's been happening for many years in those situations where women are in court and they're not being heard and they're being exhumed the old ways that many in years past, and things have really changed. We know that when it comes to intimate partner violence, and how is he going to make a difference, and how is it going to change? Is he willing to work with them to make sure that they and our government and all bodies are on the same page so that we can change the stereotype, the
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, the member opposite is exactly right. It is about working together. And what I will say is that one of the best, one of the best ways that our system works here in Manitoba is that we do invite the public in, that we do have that public hearing process. And I know that the judiciary, that judges were, as you said, were monitoring and were participating. They heard directly from survivors. And so I think that voice is so important. And that's why it's important to pass this bill, because we know that, we're listening, we want to act. And by passing this bill, we can actually make a difference. And they can continue to listen directly from survivors.
And with that, time for debate has come to a close. The floor is now, or sorry, time for questions has come to a close. The floor is now open for debate. The honourable member for Brandon West.
Well, thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I appreciate the opportunity to once again get up and speak to a bill that talks about Kira's Law and the fact that we need this sort of protection for the victims that we have out there. I will bring forward, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that I don't believe that this Minister of Justice or this family minister or any of the people on that side of the House would agree with that. And if they did, they simply could have voted for this, brought this forward last session, and we wouldn't be here talking about this and debating it once more. The member for Tyndall Park brought a sound and solid bill forward for consideration. But because of the failed House leader in this, the failed government House leader in this, not getting the proper work through, and because of the ego of the Justice Minister who wanted to tout his abilities to bring laws forward, they were the ones that blocked the opportunity for us to actually have this law in place today, protecting victims of violence, protecting victims of domestic violence, of coercive control, and of all of the different areas that this bill will cover. It's shameful, Honourable Deputy Speaker. It is absolutely shameful, and I'm sure each and every one of them should do some serious soul searching on this and really ask themselves, why don't we respect the victims? Because that is exactly what happened. The Premier and the Minister of Justice took a very sound legislation, one that was spoken to at committee for a very long time by passionate people, by survivors of domestic violence. They were very strong to come forward and talk about what they had experienced. And now, because this government, the sitting government of today, did not bring that to third reading in this House, every single one of us in this House, I would hope, would have voted yes to that legislation. But instead, no, they blocked it so that the ego of the Minister of Justice could come forward and bring this law into place. It is absolutely shameful. You know, I have not been in politics my whole life. As a matter of fact, I remained apolitical until I made a run for politics in 2023, and so I've been in here for a very short time. Unlike the Minister of Justice, who's been embedded in this system for years and years and years. But you know, what I've learned very quickly here is that whenever there is a bill that's put forward, then you can ask for an amendment to that bill. So if it was so very important as the Minister of Justice likes to say, he likes to say how important this was, why did he not just bring forward an amendment to bring in all of these areas and then a new bill to bring in the financial pieces? That would have been the proper thing to do. That would have been something that a respectful person would have done to make sure that the victims that we have today are protected. You know, I spoke many times with the member from Tyndall Park, and I have absolute respect and admiration for her bringing this forward. The collaborative approach that she took on this, the fact that she consulted with hundreds and hundreds of people the day she introduced the bill, and I'm looking up in the gallery, she had a large component of victims and advocates here within our chamber to support her introduction of the bill. When we went to committee, there was heart-wrenching testimony that brought forward by survivors, by victims, by people that had experienced this justice system, as well as advocates on the judge and the Law Society side. So taking this away from a hard-working woman within this chamber was unbelievable, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Agreed.
And really, it's just taking credit for the hard work that was put into place. It could have been a copy and paste, really, from the member from Tyndall Park's bill into this bill. And really, the work was done, let's face it, by the member from Tyndall Park. I was very, very proud to second this motion that was introduced in Bill 209 at that time. I was very proud to do that and make sure that this got brought forward. But again, it was blocked by this government. It could have been very simple, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to bring this law forward. And again, we wouldn't be here today. And they talk about wasting government time. They talk about filibustering, and they talk about blocking stuff. Is that not hypocritical? Is that not hypocrisy at its greatest level? When really this could have been done back in December, this would have been done and on the books. And right now, it's not. And here we are debating it again. We'll have to wait until this becomes law down the road. And you know what? It's not us that suffers. It's not your political gain for anybody. It's not this minister's ego that suffers. You know what it is? It's the victims. It's the people out there that are victims of this crime that we could have been protecting right now. But because the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Families, the Premier, and anybody else that wants to stand in front of this and not have brought it to third reading in this House, it's shameful. It is absolutely shameful. You know, when we look at the harm that this has done, I want to talk about actually this bill that's brought forward now. And again, I will say publicly, and I will say here in this chamber, that I support Kira's law, and I support bringing this forward. You know, I almost want to say that with all of the work that was done by the member from Tyndall Park and the hours and hours spent, I almost would like to call this Cindy's Law, just because it is so spectacular that she put in all of this work and efforts and everything else.
Order. We can't refer to other members by their names. We can refer to them by their ministerial portfolio or their constituency. The honourable member for Brandon West. The honourable member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I sincerely apologize for that faux pas. I should have said we should call this the member from Tyndall Park's bill. And it really is because of all the work that, that she put into this. So let's talk about why this is needed. This is needed to protect individuals that are out there that are facing domestic violence, domestic abuse, intimate partner violence, that Manitoba is one of the highest rates of incidence for this crime. And really, probably 80%, I believe the statistics are, or greater, people do not report this crime. Why? Because they're embarrassed, because they don't want to go through the court system, because they don't want to face the fact that they have to be re-victimized again and again and again. And that's exactly what is going to happen when this is brought back to committee down the road, is that the victims that came forward, the survivors, will be victimized yet once again, because they will have to bring their voice and their testimony forward. You know, again, shameful, because that is one of the things that should be paramount, is protecting the victims when it comes to these laws and for the issues that they face because of intimate partner violence, and specifically coercive control. And coercive control, Honourable Deputy Speaker, is really is an act or a pattern of acts of either an assault or threats, humiliation and intimidation, or other abuse that is used to harm or punish or frighten their victim. Coercive and controlling behavior is the heart of domestic abuse and intimate partner violence, and really it is extremely difficult for these individuals to go through this. You know, the process that they've already gone through. They've either reported this to a counselor or a friend or a family member to, pardon me, to make the first steps. And then they'll move forward again to getting the courage and the absolute bravery to come forward and report this to law enforcement. And when it is reported to law enforcement, you know, again, they have to retell their story. They have to retell their story again in court. And the presiding judge has to listen to all of the evidence and give his or her decision at the end of this. So I really support this for the victims that have to go through this, the victims that you know, have gone through this, and I hope that this bill, when we move forward on it, will actually help future victims and make sure that justice is served for them as they move forward, and that not only is it served for them, but it's seen to have been served by them, because that's a very important aspect when it comes to the law, as justice must not only be served, but it must be seen to have been served. But one of the things that I've spoke about in this chamber, Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, is that justice delayed is justice denied. And Honourable Speaker, that's worth repeating. Justice delayed is justice denied. And this bill, the bill that was brought forward, Bill 209, by the member for Tyndall Park, could have been in law today. I don't know how many more times I can stress that. It could have been in law today. But because it was delayed, because it was not called forward, when we had the opportunity, in December to bring this law forward, this government failed to do so. It would have been a unanimous decision across all of this House, and we would have had this law in place right now. So, you know what, it's difficult for me not to keep coming back to that because of the work and the effort that was put in by the member for Tyndall Park, and the efforts that she did with not only in this chamber, but the consultation process that she took, the hours that she spent, hours and hours, having people in here and setting up, having to endure listening to the survivors, and really that it has impact on people that listen to these stories. And you know, I will apologize to her on behalf of our team. Apology to the member from Tyndall Park that this did not go through. And I want to state publicly and thank her for her work that she did on that and the time that she spent. I think it should be noted that this was brought forward, and the Minister of Justice erred on this. It was brought forward first by the member from Tyndall Park before it was brought forward by members from the NDP. So it's important to note that and continue to talk about all of these great items. So let's talk about the judiciary, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and some of the concerns that were brought forward by the judiciary through their lawyers at committee talked about their issues with putting the independence of the judiciary into disrepute or challenging the independence of the judiciary. So if I could talk about a little bit statement that was made by Susan Dawes, who's the Provincial Judges Association of Manitoba, represents them. And in her statement, she said, "So I'm not here to speak today against judicial education. In fact, quite the contrary. The concerns of PJAM, which is the Provincial Judges Association of Manitoba, about Bill 209, which then was the member from Tyndall Park's bill, are these. The principles of judicial independence require that control of judicial education rests with the judicial branch of government. Judicial education is a necessary component of judicial independence, and it must be kept up to the chief judge in consultation with the judiciary as a whole to plan and implement judicial education." So in speaking to Bill 8 back in 2022, we made the point that while the legislation was preemptive, in other words, in the sense of not directing or requiring the chief judge, the relevant sections nonetheless pose a risk of being misconstrued as a direction. That risk is reinforced when there are additions to the list coming only 2 years later. So I must ask, did the Minister of Justice actually listen during this consultation period, during this time when people brought concerns forward, when it said the risk is reinforced when there are additions to this list coming only 2 years later? Not only were those additions a concern to the judiciary, now we have a number of other requirements cascaded onto this that are not part of the original Kira's law that has been adopted nationally in Ontario and in other jurisdictions. So my concern is when we add on additional parts to a law that is impacting the judiciary and their independence, that is a concern, because we should all be concerned about making sure that in our country that we have fair and impartial judges, and that their impartiality is not questioned. So, Honourable Deputy Speaker, listening to the victims that brought forward this, they all spoke so eloquently about what they had endured as survivors, what they had gone through. We listened to many, many survivors who brought their stories forward, and again, I thank you for that. I know from experience how very, very vulnerable you must have made yourselves this day to bring this forward. And so, I listened with a heart that felt so concerned for the people that brought this forward. And I know there was people within our committee that were moved to tears, and rightfully so, when they listened to this, what individuals had to go through. And after hearing all of these remarks, I was hopeful and really, I thought that we had moved a bill forward that was going to have significant impact back when we did committee on the member from Tyndall Park's bill, Bill 209. And the victims, they said, put politics aside. The people that spoke to us, the ones that said, look, we've experienced this, we just need this bill passed. They wanted us to put politics aside, and the hypocrisy today to listen to the Minister of Justice say that we did not bring this forward. It was a simple fact. It could have been brought forward after committee for third reading, could have received royal consent, and then away we go. So again, here we are debating this bill, and I'm happy to put words on the record for the victims and make sure that they understand that this side of the House, our government, I know the leader of the Liberal Party, the MLA for Tyndall Park, for sure, we're willing to vote yay to this to make sure that Bill 209 passed, that it made history in Manitoba, and that we were now working under this bill. But the government of today stopped that process. So the victims need to know that. The ones who asked us at committee, who told us in all sincerity, look, let's cross party lines, let's make sure that we do what is right, do the right thing for the right reason. And you know what? I was willing to put party politics aside. The Liberal member was willing to put those aside, but unfortunately, the members opposite just couldn't find it in their hearts to do that and to support the victims of intimate partner violence and those that have suffered so grievously because of the acts done by individuals that perpetrate these crimes. Honourable Deputy Speaker, so I know that the members opposite are probably wishing that they would have just come forward and said, let's bring this bill together, let's be nonpartisan, and let's make sure that we bring appropriate laws that matter to Manitobans and that protect Manitobans. But shamelessly, they blocked it. And again, it's because the ego and the politics played a huge role in this. Making sure that the member from Tyndall Park withdrew her bill and then, asking her, would you please sponsor this for our side? And of course, she seconded it, and rightfully so, because she really wants to see this bill pass. She has spent hours and hours and hours making sure that consultation was done, that the I's were dotted, that the T's were crossed, that this reflected not only national policy but other provincial policies, and looking at what was best for Manitoba. So again, congratulations to the member for Tyndall Park who really brought this forward. I would like to give her a round of applause and thank her for this work. Again, going back to the judges and the chief judge, they've made it clear that they do not want judicial independence trampled on. And it was made clear by their lawyer that represents them that adding additional points to look at really could compromise their judicial independence. And when we look at that compromising stuff, we certainly do not want Manitobans, and particularly victims, to have to even ever question judicial independence, because I know how important it is because they're the triers of fact. They are the ones that have to listen to the evidence, to absorb everything, and then articulately, accurately, and judicially make their findings within the court. So, obviously, this was another one of the failed listening tours of this NDP government, listening at committee, because they failed to listen. They failed to listen to what was already asked. And I'm sure now Ms. Dawes will again have to come back and state the position of the judiciary and say again, why is this Minister of Justice so determined to trample on judicial independence? Why does he want to insert himself in judicial independence through, he knows he can't do it personally or through that area, but now he's trying to do it through legislation and placing the democracy in question, making sure that our judiciary is painted into a corner, if you will, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and that should never happen. On this side of the House, we respect law, we respect law enforcement, we respect the judiciary, we respect the whole area of that, and we don't bring forward legislation that will be difficult for people that respect this system as well to look at. So again, let's talk about what happens in some of the stuff that was brought forward by the judiciary. And again, there was a whole area from the Manitoba Bar Association and their representative that spoke to this as well. And I know I only have a very short time left, but again, this will show the justice is to be blind, but this Minister of Justice shouldn't be deaf to this. So here's what the Manitoba Bar Association legal representative had to say. An independent judiciary is fundamental to maintaining a public confidence in the judicial system. And I'm here to address Bill 209, which of course was the member from Tyndall Park's most excellent bill that was brought forward in this House last session that we could actually have in law today had the right thing been done. Goes on to continue saying, and the concerns that the Manitoba Bar Association has about the impact it'll have on the independence of the judiciary and public confidence in the administration of justice. There's three specific areas that I intend to address. The first is judicial education, and she goes on to say, I know Ms. Dawes has previously and ably addressed that, so I'll be very short with respect to that particular area. I will note that such education is already provided by the courts to judges and justices of the peace. Our position is that it is unwarranted to require the courts to use the limited court resources available for education and training to put more emphasis on specific areas of the law when some judges may already be experts or have considerable experience in those areas, but yet are required more training perhaps in other areas. So with this, Honourable Deputy Speaker, once again, it's called upon to make sure that we don't overload our judiciary and to put them in a seemingly non-win situation as we move forward through this law. So now the judicial independence has been spoken to twice at committee, and I'll note that the Minister of Justice, I'm sure, was well aware what was said, because he was at that committee and he spoke about, he would have heard all of these issues that were brought forward by the individuals that spoke at committee. So tone deaf to what's required in the judiciary, as well as deaf to what justice requires. I'm going to end this once more thanking the member from Tyndall Park for bringing this forward, and really I'm happy to support her bill, although it is now a government bill. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Waverley.
On House business.
On House business.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, could you please canvass the House for leave to include a list of names in today's Hansard, immediately following the member's statement made today by the member for the Pas-Kamisak.
Is there leave? Leave has been granted. The Honourable Member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I'm here to speak this afternoon, on a very serious matter. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and share, to bring awareness on Kiera's Law and now Bill number 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act. Intimate partner violence is a serious, widespread issue in Canada and Manitoba, affecting individuals across all demographics. Intimate partner violence includes physical, emotional, and psychological abuse, often with devastating long-term consequences for victims. In Manitoba, rates of domestic violence remain alarmingly high, with many individuals, especially women and children, suffering in silence. The impact of intimate partner violence extends beyond immediate harm, leading to long-term physical and mental health challenges, and can create generational cycles of trauma. I want to thank the member from Tyndall Park for being the first to bring this law forward in Manitoba. I'm very honored to have her as a colleague. During committee process for Kiera's Law, we listened to many parents, mothers, sharing their difficult experiences. And the member from Tyndall Park was at the table. Thank you for each one of you that shared that day. That was brave, and we heard you. We also listened to other organizations, leaders involved in intimate partner violence. We also heard from Kiera's mother. She shared her tragic story and the loss of her daughter, and how she is now fighting to bring about change so no other parents or child needs to go through the things that her and her daughter Kiera have had to go through. In the end, losing her daughter to traumatic intimate partner violence. She explained how important this legislation is, educating judges and those making decisions on children's welfare. Canada has made strides in addressing intimate partner violence through policies, support services, and awareness campaigns, but there is still so much work to be done. Efforts must include increased support for victims, better access to resources like shelters and counseling, and stronger legal protections for those at risk. That's why we're here today, to try to protect those at risk. Moreover, we need to challenge societal norms that perpetuate violence. We need to educate public and ensure that law enforcement and judicial systems are equipped to protect survivors effectively. Only through concerted effort can we hope to reduce intimate partner violence and create safer communities, and to protect our children and have their safety come first before reunification of families and custody battles. Kiera was a young girl whose tragic death highlighted the urgent need for changes in how the judicial system handles domestic violence in child custody cases. Kiara's mother, whom she lived with, was a survivor of intimate partner violence, and despite the clear history of abuse, Kiara's safety was not prioritized in custodial decisions. Kiara's mother, deeply impacted by her daughter's loss, has since become a powerful advocate for change, supporting the introduction of Kiara's Law. This proposed legislation aims, and Bill 2, this proposed legislation aims to ensure that any history of domestic violence is carefully considered in custody and access cases, protecting children from potential dangerous situations. Kiara's mother's bravery and commitment to justice have inspired the push for this law, with the goal of preventing other children from facing the same tragic fate. Kiara's Law and Bill 2, now called Bill 2 in Manitoba, is a proposed piece of legislation aimed at preventing domestic violence and ensuring the safety of children during custodial and access arrangements. It was named in memory of Kiara. Kiara's, whose life with tragic death highlighted the devastating consequences of domestic violence and abuse being overlooked in child care custody cases. The law focuses on ensuring that any history of domestic violence is thoroughly considered in every situation. Those making the decisions, what happens with our children, that they can be educated and know and be able to pick out and see a situation that could be damaging and possibly take the life of a child or a mother. Prioritizing safety and well-being of children over other factors. We need Kiara's Law, Bill 2, because far too often, children's safety is compromised in custody disputes when domestic violence is not properly considered. Many children have been put in situations where they are exposed to ongoing abuse or even harm because of courts' failure to assess the danger posed by an abusive parent. The law would require that any history at all be reported and taken into account, that that child will not be put in harm's way, and the mother as well. This law is crucial because it recognizes the severe impact domestic violence can have on children. It calls for protective measures to be put in place, allowing children to grow up in a safe, supportive environment free from trauma and abuse. This law will help shift the focus in custody cases from simple parental disputes to the vital issue of safety for children, ensuring no child is put at risk in any family situation, in the name of reunification or access to rights. In essence, Kiara's Law is an essential step protecting vulnerable children, making sure their safety is always a top priority. And I will say that throughout my whole speech today. Children's safety needs to always be a top priority. To implement Kiara's Law, or Bill 2 in Manitoba, we must first focus on creating a clear and structured framework for the law's goals. Kiara's Law aims to ensure that all children and families in the province are protected, especially children. The first step would be to raise awareness among lawmakers, social services, and the general public about the importance of this law and the specific issues it addresses. Education on domestic violence and its impact on children is crucial, as well as ensuring professionals understand how to identify signs of abuse and intervene appropriately. We need to educate. We need to educate so they know the warning signs and they can intervene. Next, we need to work with local authorities, including law enforcement and the judiciary and child welfare agencies, to create training programs that focus on Kira's law principles. These professionals must be equipped to screen for abuse in custody disputes and make decisions that prioritize the safety of children above all else. If they don't know what they're looking for, how can they help those children and know that they're in a dangerous position? Bill 2 is so crucial to the implementation of the desperately needed education for those influential positions of judges and law enforcement. I can't say that often enough, where children and family are concerned. Additionally, we must push for the establishment of support systems for families, including resources for both victims of domestic violence and the accused as well, ensuring the process is fair but uncompromising when it comes to child safety. It's important that all parties involved understand that the best interest of the child is paramount. We also need to push for the law's enforcement, ensuring that Kira's law is not just passed, but actively upheld with penalties for non-compliance. And I did ask the member opposite how they would be taking and dealing with that, and he didn't have an answer for me. But again, I'm going to say this again, that we need to make sure that the education is upheld with penalties of non-compliance. If we don't stand behind the changes that we make here in this room, how are we going to make sure that it gets implemented out there in the world around us and in our province? By implementing steps, we can work towards a Manitoba where children's safety is prioritized and families are given the support they need to break free from the cycle of abuse. We need to continue to do better. We need to continue to bring awareness, and we need to increase supports for women's shelters, increase education for the younger generations coming, and to stop, and the other one, everybody needs to be educated, to stop the cycle of intimate partner violence. We need to stop it. We need to stop it in our province of Manitoba and across our country. In Manitoba, shelters and support services for women and girls experiencing intimate partner violence are vital resources for those fleeing abusive relationships. For many women, these services offer a safe haven where they can find shelter, support, and hope for rebuilding their lives. However, when it comes to Indigenous women and girls, there are unique challenges that require tailored approach. Indigenous women face disproportionately high rates of intimate partner violence. We need to look at this and make a change. Shelters for Indigenous women and girls in Manitoba must provide culturally appropriate services, recognizing the need for healing that honors traditional practices and community-based approaches. Many Indigenous women feel more comfortable accessing services that reflect their cultural values, offering a blend of modern support with elements of Indigenous healing, such as ceremonies and cultural teachings. We need to set them up for success. We need to support those programs. Indigenous-led shelters, such as one located in Winnipeg, are an example of how culturally safe spaces can provide much-needed support. For all women in Manitoba, shelters offer essential services, including emergency housing, counseling, legal advice, advocacy, and the assistance of transitioning into dependent living. These services help women regain control of their lives, providing a pathway to safety and security, which then helps their children to have that same pathway of safety and security. And that's why we're here today, because we want to ensure the safety of children. However, despite the invaluable role shelters play, there is still much work to be done to ensure that these services are accessible, adequately funded, and equipped to meet the diverse needs of all women, particularly Indigenous women and women in rural communities. We have a beautiful shelter in some rural communities, and many of those beds, there's no space in those beds for those women. They're full every night. We're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. This needs to change, and we need to do better. To truly address intimate partner violence in Manitoba, we must continue to invest in shelters and support systems that offer not only protection, but also the resources needed for healing and empowerment of these women so that they can have safe homes for their children. We must ensure these services are accessible, culturally appropriate, and inclusive of all women and girls so they can live free from violence and fear. I want to take a moment to talk about a specific shelter in my community. I want to talk a moment about Genesis House, a vital resource for women and children in rural Manitoba who are fleeing domestic violence. Genesis House is more than just a shelter. It's a lifeline for many individuals who are seeking safety, support, and the opportunity to rebuild their lives. Located in Manitoba, Genesis House provides a safe haven for women and their children who are experiencing intimate partner violence or abuse, offering them a secure environment where they can heal and regain control of their lives. Their beds, they've got 5 beds for women and 11 beds for children in Genesis House. And currently they are full every night. And there's women coming from all over the province to Genesis House. We don't have enough. We need more shelter beds for women that need to escape violent homes. We can do better. We can do better for the children, and we can do better for the women that are in these situations. Last year, there was a tragic situation that happened in Carmen, which is very close by where we live in Genesis House is. And in talking with the organizers from Genesis House, they said they had never received so many phone calls from women needing a place to go because it showed them the dangers of their possibility of this tragedy happening to them. And women need that confidence to know that if they are in a place where they need to escape quickly, there is a place for them. And currently there's no place for them. The beds are full. Genesis House founded with the understanding that domestic violence affects not only individuals who are directly targeted, but their children, their families, and their communities. Its mission is to support women and children who are escaping abusive relationships by offering them a safe place to stay, as well as a range of services that help them address emotional, psychological, physical effects of abuse that they've experienced. I would like to encourage the current government to consult with Genesis House and those that work there and that help those women every day, to consult with them, talk to them so that you can know, those that are making these decisions for these mothers and children in the judicial system, so that they can know what to look for in a situation when the mother's begging and pleading for help in a courtroom. What kind of things do they need to look for so that they can see that this is urgent and it could be life or death for this woman and her children? I'd encourage that. People who specialize in helping women that need this help in these shelters, that you would consult with them, because they're the ones who work with these women and children every day. We need to make sure that we protect them. The shelter's work goes beyond providing roof over their heads. It's about offering them hope and a future from violence. One of the core services Genesis House offers is emergency shelter, which we discussed. When women and children leave an abusive relationship, they often find themselves in a vulnerable and precarious situation. often going back to where they were because they have no place to go. Genesis House provides a secure environment where they can stay without fear of their abuser finding them. The shelter is staffed by professionals who are trained to offer support and assistance tailored to each individual's needs. They provide a variety of resources, including access to food, clothing, and personal care items, ensuring that women and children who come to Genesis House have their basic needs met while they focus on rebuilding their lives. In addition to emergency shelter, Genesis House offers counseling services, mental health support. Many women who have experienced domestic violence carry deep emotional and psychological scars. Genesis House provides counseling to help them address the trauma they've endured, regain their sense of self-worth, and build the strength they need to move forward. The shelter also offers group therapy, giving women the chance to connect with others who have experienced similar situations, share their stories, and offer mutual support. That's one thing I want to just comment on during committee when we had all these women that were just so brave and sharing their stories. You could just see the support with each other. You could just see how encouraged they were by having other women around them that were going through similar situations and sharing similar situations so that they know that they're not alone, that they know there's others as well. And part of that knowledge and sharing of their situations together helps get rid of the stigma, because many women don't want to be addressed or known that that's what their life has been like. It's a shameful thing. Women think we think it's a shameful thing, I should say, as a woman, but it's not. It's not a shameful thing. It is something that happens to women across this country, in every community, and we just need to know that I want every woman to know that we're here to support you. Cry out for help, and I encourage everybody just to hear that cry and know that cry and step into that position of help and support for anybody who needs that help. In addition to the emergency shelters and the counseling services, another crucial service provided by Genesis House is advocacy, which is what we're doing today. We're advocating for women and children who need that support. We're advocating for extra education, for judicial bodies, for judges. And I want to encourage everyone who's making those decisions where children are concerned and there's custody and there's different situations like that. I encourage you to educate yourself. Step out and take initiative to do that. Don't wait to be told you have to, but do it because you know it's the right thing to do. And because we have a problem, it's an issue, it's widespread across our country and across our province. We need to stop intimate partner violence now. Navigating the legal system, especially in situations involving domestic violence. That's one of the big things that Genesis House does. And it can be overwhelming and intimidating for women, and with children especially. They're busy, they're running around, they're feeling nobody's hearing them, and they don't feel safe, they're hopeless. We need to change that, and Genesis House advocates for those women. Genesis House offers advocacy services to help women with legal matters, such as restraining orders, child custody issues, and navigating complexities of the justice system. The goal is to empower these women, giving them the tools they need to stand up for themselves and their children. I don't know if anybody else here has had to go through that, but I personally have had to go through custody battles with my children when they were little. I've gone through situations where there was dangerous situations for me and my children. It is not an easy place to be. We need to make it easier for women to access the supports they need and to be heard by everybody. They deserve to be heard and respected. Genesis House also provides long-term support for women and children transitioning into independent living. The journey doesn't end once they leave the shelter. Many survivors of domestic violence need ongoing support to ensure that they are able to rebuild their lives in a safe and stable environment. Shelters provide programming that help them find housing, secure employment, and access to further counseling and educational services to help them start to rebuild their lives. These programs are designed to offer long-term solutions and help survivors regain their independence, giving them the opportunity to thrive and not just survive. One of the most important aspects of shelters' work is the commitment to addressing the needs of the children who have witnessed and experienced domestic violence. The trauma of witnessing abuse can have long-term effects on children's health, both mentally and emotionally. Shelters have a job to do, and they do so much. And I just want to say thank you to all frontline workers who work in shelters with women. I want to just shout out everybody, because I know this is a big, big scope of people helping women. And I just want to say thank you. Your work is so incredibly crucial and important to every single woman and child. The trauma of witnessing abuse can have long-term effects on children. We need to address that. We need to protect children from that. Programs specializing for children, including counseling, recreational activities, and educational supports, help these children to process trauma they have experienced, build resilience, and regain a sense of stability and safety. That is why the education of those that are making these decisions in court and judges, that's why it's so important for them to know and see and know what the triggers are and can see the actual what's really happening. Because those children will have to go back and live through those traumas over and over again, and no child should ever have to do that. It's time for us to step in and make a change. While Genesis House has made significant strides, Women and Children Manitoba, the work is not over. It's far from over. Domestic violence continues to be a pervasive issue, and there's more women and children that need support, that we have supports available. That's why shelters who play an active role in advocating for policy changes, why legislators like the member from Tyndall Park are stepping out to try to bring policy forward, because we have a desire and we know it needs to change. We know this needs to change. And we're all on the same page. Across the aisle, we all support this. That's why we have an active role in advocating for policy changes and increased funding, and we need to increase funding for services that address domestic violence by raising our voices. We all need to work together to ensure that all survivors have access to support they need to live free of abuse. I want to say thank you to everybody in this room, because this is such a desperate situation across our country. And I know we talk about it, we bring it up, but we need to do more than just talk. We need to act. And I'm going to challenge every single legislator across our country, in our province of Manitoba. We need to act. We need to change this situation. We need to make tangible, real changes. And I want to encourage anybody who wants to learn more about what they can do to make a change. Reach out to your local shelter, volunteer, donate, do whatever you can, but this needs to be changed, and we need to make a difference, and each one of us has a responsibility to do that. In conclusion, I just want to say that providing life-saving support and services for women and children affected by domestic violence is so important. And nothing will change until we start making a change and taking this more seriously. As a community, we must continue to support organizations like Genesis House like all the different organizations in our province, to ensure that survivors from domestic violence have resources and opportunities to rebuild their lives. Together, we can work towards a future where no woman or child has to live in fear, and where support and compassion are always available to all who need it, and that we all take responsibility for our part in making this change happen across our province, for every woman down the street, our neighbors, our daughters. It's all of our responsibility. And I want to challenge all of those making decisions in judicial arenas. It starts with you. You can see firsthand what's happening in front of you. And I want to encourage you to have faith and step out and learn and educate yourself as much as you can, because we need to support women and children in these situations. And I support this bill, and I thank the member from Tyndall Park for bringing it forward, and I thank the government for bringing forward bill number 2, because it's just, we need to get this done today, and I just appreciate the support that we're going to get this done today. Thank you.
There are no further, the honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to ensure that Kira's Law moves on here this afternoon, so I'm going to keep my remarks short and just summarize the bill and process. Bill 2, Kira's Law, is named after Kira Kagan, a 4-year-old little girl who was found dead next to her father at the bottom of an Ontario cliff in 2020. This was after her father was granted permission, even with 53 court orders being issued against him for unpredictable and violent behavior, to have access to Kira. Bill 209, the original bill, was about providing judges and judicial justices of the peace with ongoing education on intimate partner violence, coercive control, and sexual assault law. This legislation was supported and enacted by all political parties in different provinces as well as nationally. I had the honor of first introducing the legislation here in Manitoba almost a year ago on April 3rd, 2024. It was seconded by the member from Brandon West, who I also consulted throughout the process of moving the bill forward. People and organizations all over the province had contributed to this legislation, many of whom are incredibly brave individuals who have personally been affected. By the time we got to October 10th, 2024, it had passed through committee. Honorable Speaker, this would have been the point in time where amendments could have been brought forward, however, none were. I requested leave of the House to allow Bill 209 to go for a vote, but it continued to be denied by this government. Even though all political parties in the House speaking to it were speaking in support of it, and Honorable Speaker, it should be noted that Manitoba has one of the highest rates of intimate partner violence, and the government continued to actively shut down this legislation. If we fast forward just a couple of weeks, through many conversations and meetings, the Justice Minister and I were able to come to a deal. I was advised that if I withdrew my bill, the government would introduce theirs. I agreed because we need this legislation. So on October 30th, 2024, I withdrew Bill 209 and the government replaced it with Bill 41, now Bill 42, the Provincial Court Amendment Act. And I want to be clear, because a lot has been put on record here this afternoon, that although I don't agree with how this all went down, the political games and holding up of legislation, I do mean it sincerely when I say that I'm grateful that the Minister of Justice allowed for me to second this legislation, and I agree that the bill is stronger as they added a couple more clauses about recognition and financial support. So thank you to the Minister of Justice. In closing, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank everyone who contributed to this legislation. Jennifer, Kayla, all the organizations, groups, healthcare professionals, and individuals. I really appreciate the member from Morden Winkler and her kind heart, and the reminder that we need to do better at supporting each other. It can be done. We're seeing that here this afternoon. And I want to thank the member for Brandon West in particular, as he has had my back throughout this entire process. He's allowed for me to pick his brain, and trust me, I picked his brain a lot with his background in justice, Honorable Speaker. And he has been an exceptionally strong advocate for Kira's law through all the turbulation. And as he always says, justice delayed is justice denied. I look forward to having this bill move along before 5 p.m. today. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Another woman?
I am pleased to stand here today and speak to Bill 2, an act to amend the Provincial Court Act. This bill represents a crucial step forward in our ongoing commitment to enhancing the judiciary's understanding and handling of sensitive issues, particularly those surrounding partner violence and coercive control. This bill builds upon the foundation laid by the previous private member bill, Bill 209, which was introduced by MLA for Tyndall Park. It is informally known as Kira's Law, in memory of a young girl whose tragic story highlights the urgent need for reform and how we address domestic violence within our courts. As we know, the NDP government is notorious for taking the initiative and the work from others and then morphing it into something that they want to call their own. We see that with announcements they've done in the past, and this bill in particular. We heard that from the member from Tyndall Park just moments ago. We've all seen and heard, and many of us may be impacted by too many heartbreaking acts of domestic violence here across our province. Over the last year, just think about what we have heard, but think about the many situations that we haven't heard. Many women, children live in an environment of fear that we don't always see, hear, or necessarily talk about. The province has seen many lives lost, and nothing stands out more than the horrific tragedies in the towns of Carman and McCreary. Lives lost and taken away by domestic violence. I want to send thoughts and prayers to those families whose lives have been changed forever and impacted in such a tragic way. No words can ever express the heartache that families feel, and I can't imagine the journeys that families face moving forward with such tragic loss. So many acts of violence, whether it's domestic, random, religious-based, or political, we need to take steps forward in an effort to change this violent climate and prevent further harm to those who face such acts against them. As our world changes, our people change, some for the better and some not. But it is our duty in this chamber, as elected officials, to work together to make our province a better and safer place for all Manitobans. Like the member from Tyndall Park mentioned, Manitoba is one of the highest rates of intimate partner violence. And again, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the in-depth work done by the MLA for Tyndall Park. She was passionate about this, and she was invested to see Bill 209 go to committee and get passed. I know she worked tirelessly with the families and stakeholders to gather information and facts for this important legislation. Her work and compassion are appreciated, and for that, I say thank you. The stakes are high, and the impact, like we've already discussed, is devastating and far-reaching. The tragic story of Kira, the young girl whose life was cut short due to a custody battle where her mother's concerns were ignored, should serve as a haunting reminder that there needs to be change. It's a poignant reminder of the urgent need to reform. I know Bill 209 went to committee, and again, thank you to the MLA for Tyndall Park for getting it to that stage. Although I was not at committee to see and hear the presenters, I did take a look through Hansard and read through some of the material from the presentations. I must commend those who were brave, bold, and had the courage to share their stories and their journeys through the justice and the legal system, and share the challenges they had navigating through that and the outcome they are now living. With the personal testimonies, it gives a full scope of what many go through. These were heart-wrenching stories about abuse, loss, mental health, and the many kinds of abuse that exist in our world today, some of which we don't see outside closed doors. What these stories also provided was a phenomenal amount of courage and strength, determination, and demonstrated ability to work through one of the biggest challenges that one might go through. I want to highlight the importance of collaboration on such work as we've done here today and on this bill. Again, thank you to the member from Tyndall Park. This will resonate with families, children, and realities faced by those by intimate partner violence, coercive control, and sexual abuse. Let us work together to truly honor the memory of those who have suffered and work towards a society where every individual can live free from violence, coercive control, and fear. Let's work together on this. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
No other members wishing to speak? Is the House ready for the question? Question before the House is second reading of Bill number 2, the Provincial Court Amendment Act. All those in favor, please say aye. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? The motion is accordingly passed. The motion is accordingly passed. The Honourable Minister Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I move, seconded by the Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism, that Bill number 5, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act, impaired driving measures, be now read second time, referred to a committee of this House. Her Honour, the Lieutenant Governor has been advised of this bill, and I table the message.
It has been moved by the Honourable Minister of Justice, seconded by the Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage, that Bill number 5, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act, impaired driving measures, be now read a second time and be referred to a committee of this House. Her Honour, the Lieutenant Governor, has been advised of the bill, and I table the message. The message has been tabled. The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to introduce Bill 5, the Highway Traffic Amendment Act, impaired driving measures, to the Legislature. The bill amends the Highway Traffic Act to impose new and stronger licensing consequences for drivers convicted of impaired operation-related offences and refusal offences that cause or result in the bodily harm or death. The amendments will increase the length of the automatic driver's license suspension following a second conviction within 10 years for these offences. This suspension will increase from 10 years to a lifetime suspension. The amendments will also require that all drivers convicted of this type of offence will be prohibited from driving with any alcohol in their blood. 0% blood alcohol concentration for a first conviction. The length of this prohibition would be 7 years. For a second conviction, it would be a lifetime conviction. A driver who breaches their alcohol prohibition would be subject to license suspension, financial administrative penalties, and their vehicle would be impounded. These sanctions escalate with subsequent breaches and include being required to participate in an impaired driving assessment or ignition interlock program. I'm pleased to present the bill to the House for its consideration. Thank you.
A question period of up to 15 minutes will be held. Questions may be addressed to the minister by any opposition or independent member in the following sequence. First question by the official opposition critic or designate. Subsequent questions asked by critics or designates from other recognized opposition parties. Subsequent questions asked by each independent member. Remaining questions asked by any opposition member. No question or answer shall exceed 45 seconds. The floor is now open for questions. The honourable member for Brandon West.
Well, thank you, Honourable Speaker, and it's important to note that the spark for this bill was brought forward because of our resolution on justice for Jordan. And we certainly want to make sure that that isn't forgotten, that that resolution was talked out and not supported by this government and by this Minister of Justice. So with that said, I'm wondering if he could explain why he refused to support the resolution yet brought forward some of the legislation in this House.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
The member opposite is just wrong. He should know that, of course, I've been meeting with the Reimer family long before he was ever a member of this chamber. In opposition, as minister, I've met with them multiple times. I continue to meet with families and victims of impaired driving. This is part of our government's commitment to get tough on impaired driving. We'll continue to do so.
Order, please. When this matter's next before the House, there'll be 14 minutes remaining in the question period. The time now being 5 o'clock, this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until Monday at 1:30.